Disclaimer. This content is created based on my unprofessional opinion and analysis of related topics just for social communication purposes, to expand our mutual domain of views by discussing and analyzing the matters. The source of information and evidence for this content is social media, which contains facts, rumors, hearsay, and some other fragments that there is no proof for their authenticity or accuracy. So, please pay special attention. There is no claim on the reliability and confirmation of the conclusions presented here.
It had been a long time since the state, the victims' families, and the judge had demanded an alibi from the defense to confirm Bryan's absence at the murder scene on the murder night. At last, the defense presented an alibi lately, which couldn't satisfy Mr. Thompson and some others, on the excuse of not being a complete one. So I decided to share my opinion in this regard by raising some questions. 1. Why these people can't accept a half alibi as proof of Bryan's innocence, but they can accept half a skin cell that couldn't be seen with an unarmed eye as proof of his guilt? 2. Why these people can't be convinced by his alibi for the reason that there isn't any witness to confirm he had been in another location at the murder time, but they are convinced of him being the murderer without any witness seeing him stabbing the victims with his knife at the crime scene. 3. Why do they think the time of the murder and the time Bryan's cell phone was off are too simultaneous to be a coincidence? But don't they think a single trace of the DNA of a person who had perfectly covered himself to the extent that no trace of his DNA couldn't be found at the murder scene, but on the button of a knife sheath, is too fabricated to be evidence? 4. The prosecutors demand Bryan, a single guy who has been living by himself, to bring a witness to confirm he hadn't been at the crime scene at the murder time, but did they ask for the witness for those were ruled out immediately? Did they demand Jack for a witness to confirm his claim of being asleep while the girls tried to call him continuously? 5. Wasn't Jack's vehicle similar to the Elantra, which was claimed to be related to the murder? Then why did only Bryan's vehicle match with that Elantra? 6. Why did these people obsessively accept the knife sheath as valid evidence for proving Bryan's guilt but easily ignore the coat, which was found by the fire hydrant, and could have been the most reliable evidence to show many things about the killers? As one of the probable reasons for the coat being found there, I shared my opinion in my previous video on the possibility of the coat belonging to Jack that was removed from the crime scene to prevent him being accused of the murder. 7. Why does the state's side resist accepting the alibi confirmed by such a qualified expert like Mr. Cy Ray, but expect the public to accept the validity of the DNA thing without inviting any expert to the court to give a scientific and professional explanation on the validation of the methodology according to which they accused Bryan for the murder? 8. Why do they think that a half alibi isn't sufficient for proving Bryan's innocence, but they consider half a skin cell is enough to imprison him and indict him with the death penalty? 9. It was told that in surveillance footage, Jack S. had been telling the girls, "They gonna get you for this." So was any investigation done to determine to whom Jack was referring as they? 10. Was any investigation done to determine why they would have gotten the girls? In such a case with an unreliable investigating foundation, 8 hours after the murder, and a crime scene being disturbed by several individuals, then what does the state rely on for creating all this chaos? Let me tell you my analysis of these contradictions and challenges in this case. I believe the state has nothing against Bryan and is struggling to find something to grab to help them lengthen the case as much as possible, but the defense team knows this very well and are too smart to give them this chance. The state wants to lengthen the case to keep the public busy with it, like a hamster given a wheel to keep it busy, and to not let the people know that the killers are still on the loose among the people. If the public becomes aware and sure of it, with no doubt the majority of the students, if not all, and other non-stable residents, will leave the city very soon, which ultimately will lead to the collapse of the state's financial sources, which is the worst nightmare for the state. Only imagine if the prosecutions didn't frame Bryan and accuse him of the murder. The people would leave the city knowing that the killers were free. Then what would be the situation of the city by now? Yes, the state could manage to keep everything in place, but at what cost? Obviously by hiding the truth from the public. Now, who do you think will benefit from these delays and challenges? The state or Bryan, who is losing part of his younghood in prison? Despite the alibi being seen not very detailed, I think it is sufficient for this phase of the case, and I guess Ann Taylor will present the other half, which will be the surprising half at the main trial. This way, the possibility of manipulation of the process by the state's side becomes much less. They claim the state has nothing to hide. Exactly, but they are hiding that they have nothing. This is the point.